Welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. Storm, and this is part 2 of our zombie shooter game. In the first part, we actually created the GUI. We made our screen. We added some labels to the top. We made our main character, and we made a zombie. So now we're going to add in a timer. We're going to add some events to the game. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff like that. So first of all, let's add some events. So I'm going to make sure that my form is selected and not any of my individual objects. I'm going to make sure the form is selected. And over here in the properties window, I have this lightning bolt. That's for events. Now, events are essentially things that they're kind of like triggers. They're just waiting for something to happen. And when something happens, we do something else, right? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look for a specific event. I want to look for key down events because I want something to happen when I press a key. So I find my key down event. I'm going to name it key is down. And I want to, once you click out of that, it's actually going to insert that into your code. We'll come back to this in just a minute. So I have my key down. I also want a key up. So I'm going to call this key is up and hit enter. And that'll add a key is up key event. And let's see, key down, key up. Ooh, I also need a timer. We forgot to put a timer in there. Let's go over here to my toolbox. And let's find a timer object. When we grab that and drag that over, it'll pop a timer into our game. I'm going to make sure my timer is selected. And if I look at my events, I only have one possible event, and that's a tick. Okay, ticks are essentially every interval of this timer, right? So how do we know what intervals are? Well, let's go back to properties. And what I have is I have all these properties for my timer. First of all, we want to enable the timer so that it actually runs. So we're going to set that to true. And then our interval, we're actually going to change our interval to be, say, 20. Okay? And this just means every 20 milliseconds is going to be a tick. We want to make sure that we have a tick every 20 milliseconds. Let's see, anything else that we need to change there? Nope, good. So let's go back over to events. Now that we know what our tick is set to, 20 milliseconds, we want to make a tick event. We're going to call this game engine because this is where most of the logic of the game is going to go. This is where movement's going to happen. This is where anything that needs to happen over time is going to happen inside of our timer. I'm going to hit enter. So let's take a look at the code that we have now. We have some events that we need. So we have a key down, key up, and a game engine event. These are all really important events. Perfect. Okay, what else do we need? Well, let's think about it. When we press the key down, we want our character to move. When we release the key, we want them to stop moving, and we want the game engine to actually do something. We also need a method that will let us drop ammo. So we're going to call this drop ammo. This is basically going to just create ammo boxes whenever we run out of ammo. And then let's see, we need to create a shooting event. So private void. Let's just call this shoot. Okay. And we're going to pass it in a string, which we're going to create in just a minute. So don't worry, and I'll explain what that means when we get to it. And then we also want a method to create some zombies. Okay, so that we can make new zombies as we're playing the game. All right, so at this point we should have public partial class form1 form. We should have a public form1 method that initializes the component. We should have a private void key is down event, a private void key is up event, a private void game engine event. We should have a private void drop ammo method that we've created, a private void shoot method that passes in a string variable called direct, And we should have a private void make zombies method. Okay, at this point, we can start planning what our game is going to be. We can start thinking about the logic behind the game. So I actually want to bring in all the variables first because, in my opinion, variables are probably the most overlooked but most important part of any video game or of any program. So I'm going to go ahead and start the variables. I'm going to bring them in right now. Let's put them right above the public form. And this is going to be my variables section. So everything in here, these are all going to be variables. Okay, so let's think about what we need. Well, we need Boolean variables for movement. So let's create a bool and call it go up. Let's create, actually just create a couple of bools. Go up, go down, go left, go right. So I have a bunch of Boolean variables that are go up, go down, go left, and go right. Because what we want to do is we want to set these to be true or false based on whether or not the key is pressed at the moment. So these are movement variables. Forgot my S there. Movement variables. All right, and then we want to create a string called facing. We're going to make that equal to, let's just start it at up. That's fine. And this string is going to help us to determine what direction our bullet should go later on in the game. So let's see, guides, bullets. Okay, perfect. I want a double player health because we need to be able to track our player's health. I'm going to set that to 100. And obviously this is player health. Okay. Now a double is it's a type you probably never have seen before. It just means that it's a floating point number and it's double precisioned. So just know that it's not a whole number. It can actually be a decimal. But we're using that because we're using doubles because we want to use our progress bar. And so that'll help us get a nice smooth movement on the progress bar. Alrighty, int speed equals 0. Actually, no, let's set it to 10 so we don't have to change it later. And I'm going to make this, this is the speed of the player. So player speed. Let's start with some ammo. So we want, how much? Say 10 bullets. And let's set the speed for our zombies. Let's set them to 3 because zombies are slow. Okay, and let's start our score, which is going to be 0 at the beginning because we haven't done anything. We haven't killed any zombies yet. Number of zombies killed. Okay. Let's create another bool and call it game over. We're going to set this equal to false at the beginning. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to choose whether or not the game is over. It's going to be set to false at the beginning, and then when we change it to 2, that means the game is done. Okay, and the last thing we need is we need a random. RND equals new random. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So all that is good. That's all stuff we need. Those are all variables that we need. Now that's a lot of variables, but this is a big game. It's a big project. Now, before I start getting into these other events, make sure that everything is perfect. Everything matches my code here exactly. Make sure your variables are in the right place. Make sure they're outside of all these other methods. Make sure they're inside the public class, but outside of these other methods. In the next video, we'll actually get into the player movement. We'll actually get our player moving around the screen in the next video. But for right now, this is a pretty good place to stop. So thanks for paying attention, and I will see you next time.